Welcome to the Invest in Iconic Strategy Research Overview. My name is Jacqueline Simpson, and I'm the Director of Global Marketing at Destination BC, responsible for the Invest in Iconic Strategy. Today, I'm presenting to you from the territory of the Coast Salish peoples. By way of a brief overview, the Invest in Iconic Strategy aims to responsibly and sustainably increase tourism revenue and visitation to BC through a strategy that encourages the geographic and seasonal dispersion of visitors. Our immediate goal is to use the Invest in Iconic strategy to speed tourism recovery to pre-pandemic levels. Our long-term goal is to create, market, and develop inspirational and globally compelling routes and destinations to capture the attention of the world's travelers and that act as a magnet for attracting travelers to BC. Together with you, we want to make all parts of British Columbia even more appealing in more seasons. To achieve geographic and seasonal dispersion, we're using the integration of place branding and placemaking to create unique and globally compelling place brands that capture our target travelers' imaginations. And through destination development, we will leverage these place brands to create remarkable in-destination experiences that exceed travelers' expectations and create positive word of mouth. To create compelling place brands, we have invested in consumer, sentiment, and competitive destination research to deepen our understanding of British Columbia's place in the tourism ecosystem and in that of our target travelers' minds. And we've created this series of videos to share this research with you. We hope that these videos will provide you with interesting insights and a better understanding of how British Columbia can build unique and globally differentiated brands through the Invest in Iconics project. This video is one of 8 videos that focuses on the competitive destination reviews conducted in 2020 and 2021. This presentation in particular focuses on mountain towns that are similar to those found in British Columbia, such as Whistler, Squamish, Revelstoke, or Nelson, for example. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Margaret McCormick, who conducted this review and who will now share this research with you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Today, I would like to acknowledge that I'm presenting to you from the Secwépemc Territory Nation. Mountain towns are one aspect of what makes the Southeast BC iconic, unique, and something that resonated with consumers in our positioning research. Therefore, we think it's important to get a better understanding of why this might be through a competitive destination review of other mountain towns. The overarching question that the competitive analyses in part are attempting to answer is, if we were to enter the market with this iconic, are there any competitive destinations that would make competing to win difficult or impossible? In answering this question, the review identifies and examined key trends that may have accelerated recent popularity or interest in the destination or product and destination positioning, and the relationship or architecture of the brands. A little bit about our process. As we researched 12 different destinations, we started to see themes emerge. Today, I will share those themes and the insights and key takeaways from each. We built our themes around competitor commonalities. What did each destination do that was similar to the others? We will explore positioning, taglines, and targeted consumers, among others. We looked at differentiating opportunities and emerging trends. We identified things we need to pay attention to and may have an opportunity to capitalize on. We will wrap with a summary of the key takeaways. Here are the mountain towns we chose to review: Canmore and Banff in Alberta, Bend, Oregon, Aspen, Boulder, Breckenridge in Colorado, Tahoe North and Truckee in California, Interlaken and Zermatt in Switzerland, and Queenstown in New Zealand. We chose these destinations based on their proximity or their uniqueness or their variety. As per our process, we started by looking at what are the common factors with each destination. This proved to be one of the most enlightening components of the review, primarily due to the fact that as mountain towns, each already has something in common with the other. So we went deep to understand both what was common and what was different. Mountain towns generally fell into 2 categories. Resort-based destinations positioned their towns as commercial centers. Generally, the greater the awareness of the resort, the less individual personality the town has. Towns that have purpose other than to serve a resort were more distinguishable and also tended to have more of a personality. For BC mountain towns, understanding the relationship with the resort is important when thinking about positioning, because larger resorts tend to also take the marketing lead. For our smaller BC towns, identifying the character and elements of distinction that may be differentiating factor will be important. The mountain towns that reside within the resort destinations of Vail, Aspen, Tahoe North, Banff, and Kananaskis are positioned as commercial centers. And when thinking of these destinations, it's a natural conclusion to first think of the resorts and not about the towns themselves distinctly. We're going to look at them first. Vail is one of the most well-known ski resort destinations, and as you know, owns many others, including Whistler. As you can see by the home screen, the resort and the mountain are front and center, and this format is used for all their destinations. Information about the town is limited and focuses on products that are directly related to the resort, such as on-mountain accommodation and dining. If visitors are looking for additional products or experiences, they're required to link off this site, which you can see here is on the third level down. Of interest, up to 2020, Vail Resort and the town of Vail had an agreement that most of the marketing for the destination, including social media, would be conducted by the resort. This provided a consistent brand and positioning. However, when Vail Resort centralized their marketing in Denver for all of their resorts, Vail Resort and the town of Vail ended that marketing relationship. And the town is just now starting to develop its own brand and positioning. Aspen is another renowned destination and resort. And as such, when you think of Aspen, skiing is likely top of mind, and the town of the same name is okay with that. By way of background, Aspen Skiing Company owns Aspen Snowmass, which is actually a collection of 4 mountains and supporting infrastructure. The town of Aspen sits at the foot of Aspen Mountain, and the relationship between ASC and the Aspen Chamber Resort Association, which is a hybrid chamber of commerce and the destination marketing organization, appears to be somewhat integrated. Aspen Snowmass focuses primarily on the on-mountain activities and works with the ACRA to promote the broader experience. So here we see Aspen Skiing Company's homepage, and on the pull-down box, you'll see the mountain and the experiences are listed and directly related to the mountain. But on our next slide, this is the Aspen Chamber Resort Association and their pull-down list of experiences and travel information. You'll notice that they do have a level of consistency with the resort branding, including the use of fonts, etc. It's also worth noting that recognizing that Aspen as a brand is incredibly strong, the Aspen Chamber Resort has taken this opportunity to shift their lens from inspiring travel to becoming mindful stewards of Aspen. Banff, Canmore, and Tahoe North are 3 mountain towns whose role as commercial centers is also determined by the greater awareness of the experiences in their surrounding area. Banff is situated in Canada's most famous national park. Most of the Canmore outdoor experience takes place in Kananaskis, and Tahoe North is a mountain town that suffers from name association and somewhat confusion with Lake Tahoe and Tahoe South, which is also a town. Towns in this category do not receive top billing. In this example, Banff Town is actually several levels down in the hierarchy. And when searching for town images for Canmore or Tahoe North in their social media feeds, I had a hard time finding anything. It is rare that visitors choose to visit these destinations for the town itself. And it's observed that the uniqueness of the destination far supersedes the uniqueness of the mountain town. It could be fair to say that if you reviewed mountain town photos without captions from each of any of these destinations, you might find it difficult to differentiate one mountain town from another. However, there were some destinations that fell into our second common characteristic, those that stood as a destination or location without the tight proximity to a world-class resort, which actually allowed the town to shine a bit brighter as a destination. There were primarily 2 reasons we observed. The first, there are mountain towns that are not related to one specific mountain, but rather are well positioned to be a central jumping off point to explore a wider area. The second type is those towns who have made a significant effort to establish their personality or profile. Both Interlaken and Queenstown are towns that have established themselves separate from a resort, and due to their location, offer a great opportunity as a base camp for a variety of outdoor adventures. Interlaken's taglines, experience all of Switzerland in one place, and you're home in the heart of Switzerland, as well as their reason to believe, claim #1 destination for adventure sport in Europe, make it clear what you can expect from this mountain town as a center for all things outdoors. While Interlaken claims to be #1 for adventure in Europe, Queenstown, New Zealand takes a whole nother level with their home of adventure positioning. What makes them unique is that Queenstown was founded by adventurers, and to this day, their love of adventure is a common thread through what defines them. They carry the adventure story through all of their content, even describing downtown exploring as easy adventure. No mountain town review would be complete without looking at Zermatt, which despite its location at the foot of one of the world's most arguably famous mountains, the Matterhorn, and they do use that to their advantage, and the home of winter, there are attributes to Zermatt that make it an interesting mountain town on its own. The first is the fact that it is a traffic-free destination, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And the second is how they have positioned the town as somewhere you want to spend time in, and not just at the end of a great ski or hiking day. They've preserved the town's original character, and the village is charming and romantic. It's more than just a commercial center. Bend and Boulder have personality, and similar to Interlaken and Queenstown, these towns are great center locations for exploration. In addition to location, they've taken their positioning one step further. From Bend's slightly on the Bend logo to Boulder's claim to fame as a happy place through tone of voice, imagery, and fun interactive engagement, both towns have well-defined their brand, and that brand is distinctive from many of the outdoor experiences offerings that you can find in these destinations. This is not to say that the outdoor experience is not front and center, because it is. It's the layering that creates that deeper feeling about the place and the people that makes it unique. One of the best examples of tone of voice is Ben's Adventure Journal. Since 2009, blogger Tana Fensky has been penning a weekly post for the Ben Adventure Journal, featuring insider tips and best of Ben spotlights. A fourth-generation Oregonian with more than 2 decades spent living in Ben, Tana offers hints to help you make the most of a Ben vacation. Her journal is described as, whether you're looking for the city's best biscuits and gravy, planning a family hike, or wondering how to safely float the river, you'll get the scoop with a side order of silly humor. Smile, you're in Bend. Most recently, Tana has done a stellar job of sharing the not always easy messaging affiliated with COVID, including 7 tips for being a good human and 6 things to exchange beside germs on Valentine's. Looking back at some pre-COVID posts, the how to avoid lighting Bend on fire is one of my favorites. While Boulder is in close proximity to Boulder Mountain Resort, their brand positioning leaves you no doubt what type of mountain town this is. Boulder embraces its small size with content that speaks to its friendliness and speaks about its residents, which include startups and millennials. From cozy fire pits around Boulder to cool things happening now, Boulder knows its demographic and speaks well to it. Breckenridge is a contrast in product position. Like Vail and Aspen, Breckenridge, the resort, does its own marketing and is actually a member of the family of Vail Resorts. Breckenridge, the mountain, is positioned as a destination that offers high energy and excitement. At the Breck, the mountain town, the people create a vibe that inspires everyone to live bigger. It's a catch me if you can, go bigger, go huge kind of vibe. It's send it till your thighs cry, last down gets first round kind of vibe. That's the Breck effect. Millennials were featured heavily in the campaign's web and on social. Now, in contrast, The town positioning is completely different, describing themselves as laid back, slow and friendly, while marketing to a different audience, including families. 150-year-old quaint Victorian town in the heart of the Colorado Rockies, providing year-round entertainment, events, and activities for everyone. You may be hard-pressed to know this is the same destination by looking at the marketing material separately. Finally, I wanted to include Truckee, which is a small town of only 16,000 people, and it may not be a mountain town that comes to your top 3 when thinking about mountain towns. But it gets an honorable mention here because of the effort that they've made in 2017 to create a brand positioning that supports the idea of a central location, but a notch with the brand promise that their town is a base camp for adventure, that you not only want to visit, you want to live a big life. What's also interesting about Truckee is that while it's in the Tahoe area, it has chosen to minimize that relationship. So moving on to commonality number 2, the outdoor adventure product. Every mountain town is there because of the mountains. Their history may be different, some former mining towns, others born out of proximity to a larger urban destination, and others founded because of roads and trails that were developed. What they all have in common is that they thrived as mountain towns, offering the services and amenities that invite and make easier for their visitors to stay, eat, relax after a day of exploring spectacular outdoors. When reviewing the product offerings, there's very little difference between any of the destinations. They all provide a wonderful array of soft and hard adventure. Some broaden the offer with unique cuisine and culture, but the backdrop is almost always the outdoors. And as defined previously, those destinations who are not closely tied to one resort or an experience tend to position themselves as a base to experience for all of the outdoors. Almost all destinations reviewed have a tagline that implies outdoor adventure. You'll see some examples here that state that plainly, like your outdoor playground, or a play on words such as be bolder, but the positioning is pretty clear. Moving on to commonality number 4, pedestrian friendly. Many mountain towns have pedestrian-only areas which serve to both create an ambiance and solve a problem. The reasons may differ, such as attempts to address parking management and traffic congestion to supporting downtown business, but the outcome supports the overall place positioning by creating a peaceful, a chill, fun, or funky place to hang out. Zermatt is totally car-free, which gives greater focus on slow travel by bike or foot or horse-drawn carriage and adds to the atmosphere. Gathering places can be important to create a sense of community, and pedestrian-only spaces can be a good solution. Commonality number 5 was the consumer profile. It comes as no surprise that all destinations evaluated are focusing in on one way or another on the outdoor adventurer. They name them many things and range from extreme, such as hotspot hunters in Canmore, single adventurers in Queenstown, to active professionals in Vail. They also look at mid-range activity profiles, including the curious adventurer or active families. Many of the towns also seek the meetings and incentive travel market in the shoulder season. Given that there's strong competition for the same group of people, consideration will need to be given as to what sets our mountain towns apart and what different type of visitors we can attract. Commonality number 6, the sustainable tourism. This commonality is explored further within the sustainable review, but it's worth noting here that without exception, mountain towns are very conscious of the importance of sustainability, social well-being, resident sentiment, as well as the consideration of diverse and growing economy. We've actually moved this from a trend to a commonality because every destination reviewed is looking at destination development management practices. Towns are looking to balance social sustainable economics with resident sentiment and have a larger voice. Plans also include dispersion strategies. In fact, in April 2019, Canmore delivered a 10-year tourism strategic plan, citing it as a watershed for change, and several destinations have incorporated the pledge, including Bend, Oregon, and Breckenridge has developed the Tree Hugger campaign. Question 2, what are the biggest opportunities to differentiate BC or BC's distinctiveness? Finding opportunities where we can differentiate was a challenging component of this research. Switzerland boasts the highest concentration of mountain towns, and the US shares a significant number of mountain towns in the Rockies and other mountain ranges. Perhaps our BC mountain towns are distinct simply because they're in British Columbia or Canada. Canada has a strong awareness of being safe and polite and friendly, and of course, having amazing scenery. Mountain towns are a big part of that. In the Rockies to Rainforest Competitive Review, we confirmed that the Rockies were high on awareness and desire lists. Capitalizing on being Canadian in the Rocky Mountains could be a way to make BC mountains more distinctive. We may also consider what each of our mountain towns' key feature or iconic experience is. We have learned that the stronger the key experience, the stronger the iconic. Without world-class resort awareness, many of our mountain towns have the opportunity to singly distinguish the one thing that makes them special. Question 3, what emerging product categories arose, and are there opportunities to align with BC's current offerings? The first trend we looked at was food and drink. Becoming more than après-ski, more mountain towns, and especially the ones that are not tied specifically again to a resort, are elevating their variety of quality of food and drink. Craft breweries, international cuisine, food halls, and pub crawls are all strong products in many mountain towns. Here are just two of the options that have been showcased. Check out how many different categories Boulder offers. The second trend we looked at was digital nomads. Remote working in a beautiful location is one of the newest trends, and mountain towns are beginning to capitalize on that. Interlaken was recently awarded the best secluded place to work by Small Business Places due to its excellent and widespread high-speed internet access. Zermatt is promoting work and relax in the mountains, and Vail is currently running a promotion called a workcation, where they feature trade your virtual background for the real thing. Bend was featured as Zoom Town, as remote workers were flocking to work there and blog about the community. We've not seen much evidence of this in Canada yet, likely due to the slower and more expensive internet access. And while not on our list of mountain towns, I thought it was worth noting that Nova Scotia deserves a mention. They have an interesting promotion with great taglines like, not all breakfast rooms are created equal, way better than the office water cooler, of course, featuring a winery, and how's that for office space with a fantastic view. They've also created a microsite to support. The original brand work on mountain towns identified them as quirky, and digging into what quirky meant, we discovered that this term is more frequently used for things that are on the extreme end of the scale. A Google search for quirky towns omitting the mountain resulted in this article. From Photo, it quotes, "For travelers seeking an offbeat escape, the little known towns were described as unique alternatives to the more mainstream spots you kept seeing all over social media. From the lost luggage capital of the world to an Andalusian village that was drenched in blue, these destinations prove weird and wonderful places with big personalities come in small packages." A few mountain towns had some what could be considered quirky elements, such as Bend having the world's last blockbuster, which was part of a blog post featuring 6 wonderfully weird attractions. But for the most part, quirky translated into a tone of voice and more specifically, a laid back chill vibe. Bend does a very good job of this though, as through their previously mentioned Adventure Journal blog, which features full stories that have a slight bend to them. Wrapping with the key takeaways, we learned that mountain towns basically have one of two positions, and that's generally based on their relationship to a major resort. This can be translated to the stronger the lead experience, the stronger the iconic. And the takeaway here is that we need to clarify for each mountain town, and perhaps also collectively, what is the most unique attribute or has the strongest personality as a mountain town and becomes the lead experience. Personality was what we saw differentiated those towns that stood out on their own. Our personality could be many things, including some quirky and some Canadian, but we still have to discover what is that special something. The series of outdoor experiences can be generally found on or around most mountain towns, and therefore is not a differentiating factor. The result of this is that there's a lot of competition for the same type of traveler. And finally, we learned that pedestrian spaces are playing a larger part in mountain towns, creating an atmosphere that is fun and friendly, which can be synonymous with mountain towns.
Thank you, Margaret. As mentioned at the outset, this presentation is one of 8 videos that focuses on the competitive destination reviews conducted in 2020 and 2021. Here's the list of the other competitive research videos, and we invite you to explore more of these videos by emailing us at iconics@destinationbc.ca to request YouTube links. Other videos available include consumer research on perceptions and interest in the various iconic routes and places, social sentiment analysis, and an overview of what's involved in the Iconics place branding process. Or to learn more about the Invest in Iconics strategy, visit destinationbc.ca/iconics or email us at iconics@destinationbc.ca with your questions. And you can also subscribe to our corporate newsletter, Directions, for Iconics updates sent straight to your inbox. Thank you for your time.